Good morning, everybody, and warm welcome to this session. This is the parallel session on conflicts and displacements, how to deal with humanitarian crisis. And if you are not in the parallel session, you want to be, so now it's time to check if this is the right one for you. So, before I let our four panelists today get the floor, I'm going to do a little bit of framing, as the organizers have asked me to do. And I basically mentioned 3 points. So, first, to the magnitude of the problem we are addressing here in this parallel session today. About 1.5 billion people live in fragile, conflict-affected areas. And people in these countries are about twice as likely to be malnourished or to die during infancy than people in other developing countries. So this was just to set the scene a bit on that this is quite a large number of people. And you can read more about that in the background documentation. So the second point is on the link between conflicts and food security, and I guess all of you in this room know that very well, but still I just want to do a few kind of statements on it. One is that conflicts very often lead to the production capacity being destroyed, so that food availability gets less, assets being destroyed, infrastructure being destroyed. And then also we've seen many examples of food that are being used to fuel and to drive conflicts, food being used as a weapon in violent conflicts. And then, of course, we all know very well the high food price crisis of 2008 and how we had political unrest and riots in very many countries, 45 countries in the world, and this whole notion of the Arab Spring and the call for food and freedom. So that was the second point on the link between food security and conflicts. And then third, on the humanitarian interventions. So humanitarian interventions are rightly praised for saving lives, but also often criticized for doing harm and for not taking recovery and long-term development issues into considerations. And I guess many of us, we will use the example of food relief destroying the market for local people, for example. Many other examples. So the third point is about saving lives for what future? So then to end by saying a little bit about the purpose of a parallel session. So what we are trying to do is to look at the usefulness of resilience as a concept in relation to conflicts and displacement. How useful is it on the ground? How can it be practiced? How can it be helpful? And then second, on how to build resilience. What kind of action points to go for in situation of conflict and displacement. So we have a panel of 4 that will cover these different aspects of crisis and displacement. We will have some more general ones that we will start with, and then we will have specific examples from the Democratic Republic of Congo and from South Sudan. And we maybe will end with South Sudan, which is the most topical and recent as we are sitting here. So we are very, very lucky that we have a representative from South Sudan here today. So that is, and then of course we will have discussion. So each of the panelists have 10 minutes, and we hope that will give at least half an hour for discussion afterwards. So we take all 4 of the panelists before we open up for a general discussion. So the first presenter is Jean-François Meistad. He is from the University of Leuven in Belgium, and he's also in a joint position with IFPRI in their strategy and governance division. And he's going to talk about host communities and displacement.